All right, so this is the video you've been looking for to convince yourself not to spend $1,200 on this drone. Let's do it. First thing that I want to say on this video is if you haven't checked out my top 5 reasons to buy the DJI Avata 2, I'll leave a link at the end of this video. I wanted to make both of those videos just so you guys can get a balanced perspective on this drone. It is a super solid piece of technology, but like any product, it is not perfect and it's not perfect for everyone. So the idea with this series is just to give you a completely balanced perspective. Last year, I made this same video about the DJI Avata 1, and one of the things that I listed outshined them all. It was the worst thing on earth, and that was the placement of the SD card. I freaking despised the placement of the SD card, and it was so frustrating throughout the past year and a half or so. But big news, very big news, on the new DJI Avata 2, that is fixed. And it's super easily accessible right here. Funny enough, when DJI first told me about this product, it was one of the first things that they mentioned was fixed. So shout out to DJI for genuinely working with your customers and just making better and better products. And I hope this video maybe potentially helps shape future products as well. So without further ado, let's get into reason number 1 to not buy this drone. And that reason is that at the end of the day, this is a Cinewoop. This drone is built for more close quarters, close range stuff. Because it has prop guards, it's smaller, and just the overall design, it's meant for going through buildings, hitting tight gaps, flying around people so you don't hurt them. And in those situations, it handles super well. However, if you're someone who's trying to fly your FPV drone to the top of a mountain and surf back down, or go out to super far ranges, this drone probably isn't for you. I have actually done some pretty surprising long range tests with this thing, and in certain situations, it handles really well. And it works as a really good kind of hybrid drone. But if that's the only thing that you're looking to do and you're gonna be flying that every single day, you're gonna be better off with a drone that's specifically built for that. I'd recommend either a 5 or a 7-inch ready to fly setup. Currently, I'm flying on the GepRC Moz 7 for long range, and I'll leave a link down below if you do wanna check that one out, and I have loved that drone so far. Before we get into the next reason not to buy this drone, which in my opinion is probably the most frustrating one, I wanna take a second to tell you guys about something that has dramatically improved my quality of life recently. If you shoot a lot of footage, you probably have a drawer that looks like this. I actually have another drawer right here that is also filled with old hard drives. I have a ton of drives from throughout the years, and it is so confusing whenever I need to go back and get footage just because they're all in different places. On top of that, unfortunately, things break sometimes, but I recently traded in all of these, just kidding, for this right here. This is the Ugreen NASync 4800 Plus, which is a NAS storage solution that is an absolute game changer. This right here is the most powerful NAS setup for less than $500. If you don't know what a NAS is, it stands for Network Attached Storage. So essentially it's a server that you can store files on like Dropbox or like Google Drive, but you actually have it right here at home and you don't have to pay a monthly fee to use it. It allows you to access your entire library of files from wherever you are in the world as long as you have an internet connection. Usually NAS systems are super freaking complicated, and that's honestly why I didn't get one for a while and why a lot of people don't use them. But with Ugreen's interface, it's literally insanely simple. It reminds me of like a computer background, so it's just really easy to navigate, and it took me 10 minutes to get everything set up. You can set yours up a bunch of different ways, but I have mine set up to RAID 5, meaning that basically if one of my drives fails, it automatically copies to the other drive, so it's super safe. The setup that I have in particular is a 4-bay, which has up to 96 terabytes of storage with SSDs. Here's a few of my favorite features. First off, it has a 12 Gen 5-core processor, which essentially just means it's really freaking fast. It has a 10 gigabyte Ethernet port for max download speeds of 1250 megabytes per second when using SSDs. It even has an AI feature where you can search for things like pets, vehicles, drones, faces, and it's all just integrated into the system. On the front, it has an SD card port and an HDMI port, so you can instantly upload to it without the need for a computer. It also gives you the option to store files locally, so you don't have any need for a cloud at all, which basically just makes it so no one can access your files but you. And right now, because it's on Kickstarter, you can pick one up for the cheapest price it's ever gonna be. Check out the link down in the description and you can get up to 35% off up until May 9th. So thank you, Ugreen, for sponsoring this video, and thank you for making such an awesome product. All right, now let's get back to the video. The next thing that I want to talk about, which kind of piggybacks on that point, but is a little bit different, and that is the fact that this drone actually has a height limit, unlike most other FPV drones. So one of the reasons you can't do mountain surfing very well is because of that height limit. So the height limit is set at 500 meters or around 1,500 feet. So when you get to that height, it's just gonna hit a ceiling, it's gonna switch back into normal mode, and it's not gonna let you go any higher. If you're not mountain surfing, going that high is illegal basically everywhere on the planet, but if you are mountain surfing, you never get super high above the ground. So even if technically you're still flying legally, it's gonna stop you. And 1,500 feet just really isn't enough to do solid mountain dives. I recently posted a video where I did a full long range test with the Avata 2 and it handled really well. You can check that out up here after you're done watching this video. But in that video, you can see there's a certain point that I get to where it just blocks me off. And it was so frustrating because I was basically trying to get to the top of this bluff, and I go up. I'm probably, 50 meters from the top, and it just blocks me. So I wasn't able to get on top and kind of surf around. It's super frustrating, and I'm sure there's some legal or just safety reason that DJI has that limit, but I'm wondering if potentially in the future there could be some way to sort of unlock the height limits. Maybe it's like you have to take a test or you have to like sign something to unlock the height limits. But for other drones, I totally understand the height limit. But for FPV, a ton of people get into it for mountain surfing, and not being able to do that with this drone is gonna make a lot of people not wanna buy it. So I hope that's something that's improved in the future. Next up, I wanna talk about this other weird bug that keeps happening to me. I actually had a similar thing happen to me on the first Avata, where basically when you're doing any type of move that's just like super fast or quick, like let's say you're diving down a mountain and you change directions really quickly, sometimes the drone just kind of goes haywire. Here's a perfect example that actually isn't my clip, but is a clip of a friend of mine, where essentially what happened was he was just diving down this ridgeline, totally fine, all good. And then he tried to make a turn to kind of go back up, and the drone just went crazy, shot off in some random direction, almost crashed into the mountain, and then eventually he was able to save it, but it was really close to losing the entire thing. And the problems that I experienced as well as that one were on versions of the drone prior to release, so I really hope that's just a software thing that DJI is able to figure out. The next thing that I want to talk about is, as of recording this video, it is April 16th, 2024. You cannot fly the previous Avata or any previous O3 Air units with the new goggles. And for now, if you have the old goggles, you can't fly the Avata 2. So for now, if you end up getting the Fly More combo, the Avata 2 is the only FPV drone that you'll be able to fly with the goggles. You actually can use them and the motion controller for the Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro though. 100% this is something that's going to change, hopefully sooner rather than later. DJI is usually super on top of this. And it just takes time for the engineers to work out all the kinks in cross compatibility. But if you're someone who's currently flying a drone on an O3 Air unit, and for example, you need to sell your goggles to get the new ones, I would just definitely wait until everything is compatible, just so you don't need to have 2 pairs of goggles. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about is a big one, and it's something that comes with every single DJI drone, and that is geofencing. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially like these invisible no-fly zones where if there's a no-fly zone here and you're flying your drone and you hit it, your drone's just not gonna go inside of it, and if you try to take off from inside of it, it's not gonna take off. And before you guys go in the comments and go,
geofencing is there for a reason, why are you complaining about not being able to break the rules?
I do think geofencing is a net positive for the drone world. It keeps oblivious people from flying drones in flight patterns at airports. It's definitely a positive thing, but sometimes it doesn't work as intended. DJI does have a pretty good system to apply for verification to fly in these no-fly zones, but sometimes it just doesn't work and it's not perfect. For example, I was just down in the Caribbean doing a shoot, and to unlock these geo zones, you need a cell connection. And even though the islands that we were on, it was totally legal to fly, I was following all the rules, there was a geo zone there, and because you need cell service, I had to turn my service on, so I had to pay like $10 just to basically say, I'm approved to fly in this area and I'm following all the rules. So yeah, it can just lead to some super frustrating situations, whereas any normal FPV drone or custom built one, there's no geofencing at all. Anyways guys, that is about it for this video. If you guys haven't seen the other video that I made in this series that's titled the top 5 reasons to buy the DJI Avata 2, definitely check that out. I'll leave a link down in the description below. And if you wanna completely disregard everything that I said in this video and go ahead and pick up the DJI Avata 2 anyways, which honestly would be a great decision for most people because it's a phenomenal drone. There's an affiliate link down in the description below as well, where if you purchase through that link, like if you're already going to purchase it, I just get a little bit of a kickback, and that just helps me make more videos like this. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.